let's jump back in. We're just gonna play for a little longer. I'm gonna go hang out with the family for a bit for 4th of July, and I know a lot of people here couldn't be here today because of 4th of July, so I don't want to go too far. Let's go a little further. We'll call it a day. Jump back in tomorrow. But let's go talk to our uncle.
Ah, my dear nephew, how I've missed you.
How did you find this place, Uncle?
Through the good offices of young Sir Wade. He really is the most helpful fellow. As are you, I hear. The Guardians and those they freed tell the most outlandish tales of your heroics in Rosalith. Which is why I came, to learn the full truth of the matter. Sort the fact from the fiction, so to speak.
You were working with the Guardians of the Flame to evacuate the people of Rosalith to Port Isolde.
I was, aye.
Then I have questions for you. Please, come inside, Uncle.
Gladly. You there? There are 2,000 gold talents in those chests. See that they're added to my nephew's coffers, would you?
2,000?
What? Okay.
And I'm afraid that is all I know.
A fleet sailing south past Port Isolde.
You ever see a scene and you just feel like they were trying to make a meme out of it? I feel like that's what that was.
Most intriguing.
It's gonna turn into our
Forgive me for not
2,000 bit redemption.
more. I hadn't the faintest idea
2,000.
Coco withdrew wounded from Rosalith. Still less that my own nephew dealt the decisive blow.
What do you think, Vivian?
I think, with this news of the Dalmekian fleet and recent reports of the Royalists' movements, that the final piece of the puzzle has fallen into place. Come here and I'll show you. It is known that Kupka's forces entered Rosaria via its unguarded coast. So can the same be said of your visitors from Waloed? Certainly her royal navy is famed for the efficiency with which it bears her knights from one battlefield to the next. And in the Einherjar, or Black Galleon, she boasts a vessel nigh as swift, and every bit as feared as the kingdom's legendary cavalry. A fitting flagship for a land apart, her naval presence being crucial to her ambitions beyond Ash. Yes, it seems safe to assume that the Royalists did indeed enter Rosaria from the sea. So then, had you a vested interest in Titan's survival, whither would you take him? Why, home to Drake's Fang, a place rich enough in ether to conjure the magics needed to mend his hurts. Or would that not entail an arduous voyage around the southern cape? Let us say that the Royalists did put ashore with a mind to spirit Kupka away from under your very nose. Could that truly have been their plan for him? To load him aboard one of the ships flying Republican colors sighted off the coast near Port Isolde. To spend weeks at sea, being tossed hither and yon by unforgiving waves, his life hanging in the balance. No. The journey would mean Titan's death, and Kupka's faithful creatures would not allow it. So what then was the plan of our Waluda friends? Reports suggest they made not for the coast, but for the desert. And by cutting through the Velcroy, a party traveling light would have Titan back in his bed days before a galley could lurch into port. To wit, it was the Royalists, not the Republicans, who effected Hugo Kupka's safe retreat. I would stake your life on it.
But how did Sid's info get you to that conclusion? Shouldn't you have already made that conclusion?
So it was the Waluders who spirited the wretch away. Now I think about it, there was something a little strange about the ships I saw. The men seemed almost crestfallen, as if in mourning, as if they believed, or were made to believe, that their master was dead.
You have a keen mind, Lord Rosfield. And you have your answer. To find Kupka, you have merely to follow the Royalist trail across the Velcroy. It may well have gone cold by now, but as they say in the Republic, all roads lead to Drake's Fang.
Allow me to accompany you part of the way. As luck would have it, I had intended to journey Canverward on business after visiting you here. The Fang would be but a short detour.
I don't believe him.
I'd be glad of the company. Give me a moment to make ready. I need to tell my friends what we've learned. And where we're going.
Very well, but be quick about it, my boy. Time waits for no man.
He just got here and he's like telling us to rush. Daniel, you can switch to the 1,000 bits, man. Happy 4th. Well, it just seemed like she came to the conclusion. I was only half paying attention to what Uncle said, but she came to the conclusion that they must have gone through the desert because going through the water would have taken too long. So how is it that Uncle was the one, like the last piece of the puzzle? You know what I mean? She was like, oh, because of what you've told me, now I know where they went. But the reason she knew where they went was because the water would have been too long. So I'm confused as to how. I feel like they just needed Uncle to get here before they told us.
Here, with a little help from Sid, of course.
He brought enough money for her to make that conclusion. She was like, oh, you know, I could think about it, but eh.
The little uns have been up to their old tricks.
And then he brought all the money and she was like, aha. Now I know.
Who's this blue blood?
Because the uncle controls the port and no one saw enough boats pass. Right, but then she should have said that instead of saying it would be too long of a trip and he would die. She should have said, well, your uncle didn't see any ships, so it must not have been by water. You know what I mean? I feel, again, for like the 3rd time now, I feel like somebody wrote Uncle's dialogue and then somebody wrote her dialogue and they didn't connect the 2 dots. But maybe I'm missing something, but feels like they didn't connect the dots there.
Otto, Kupka's at Drake's Fang. I'll be leaving before sunset.
You're not going in there alone, are you?
Don't worry. I'm not going there to destroy the Mother Crystal. All I'm after is Kupka's head. I won't risk any more than I have to. I promise.
The Lancer and the Fang are all Kupka's personal fiefdom. You have any trouble on the way, you ask for Rosina Dalamil. Some call her the Desert Hare.
Who is she?
She's a bunny.
An old associate of Sid's, and only Sid's. All I know is the name, and that they used to meet at the Dalamil Inn. We've heard nothing from her since he died. But I'm thinking maybe the new Sid might be able to bring her back into the fold.
Thanks. I'll keep that in mind.
So, what about your uncle? I mean, he's welcome to stay, but...
Don't look so worried. He'll be coming with me.
Thank fuck for that.
Gav, Otto, I'm leaving you 2 in charge.
You can count on us.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she just thought that he couldn't survive the trip, but she wasn't 100% certain. And then once the uncle said, I didn't see any ships, that's what gave her the confidence to be certain on that. So I suppose it could make sense, but yeah, the way she described it wasn't right. But whatever.
Ah, my favorite pupil. Allow me to educate you.
Thanks, Sneaky. Yeah, you won't miss much. We're just going to play a little longer. Although I think we are going to do this story mission, though, because I don't think there's any other side missions to do. 16's going good. The game has been good.
The state of the realm is ever-changing,
But we
Clive.
did see probably the worst scenes so far in the game just before you got here. In terms of, like, just, I don't even know how to put it. Like, it was just a bad scene. This was not good. I don't know what they were thinking.
All right, Uncle. I'm ready to depart. Shall we?
We shall. Come, let us away to adventure.
It was the scene where Titan captured Jill, and pretty much no part of it made any sense. It was very strange. First, like, I don't know how in the world Jill got captured. Second, he literally said, I'm gonna make you watch her die, and then 2 seconds later tried to kill her before he got there. Then they were like, these handcuffs are really hard to get off, and then 2 seconds later Clive takes them off easily. It's really, there was like a bunch of different things that were very strange.
A young man when last I walked this path.
But yeah, Gav saving us and Torgal transforming were really cool. Both of those scenes were cool. The rest of it was like, yikes.
The road to Drake's Fang leads through it.
The trading post it is.
Also, the Titan fight was cool, but I actually prefer the Benedicta fight. Hers was like multiple phases, it felt like, and his not so much. We just kind of fought him. He turned big for like 2 seconds to do that one move, and then that was kind of it. We just fought him in semi-prime form. Benedicta we fought normally, and then in semi-prime form, and then in fully primed form. In like 2 separate fights, and it was this whole long drawn-out thing, and there was a ton of cutscene stuff, and like, it was really, really epic. Oh, and we fought her minions before that. But the Titan fight was just kind of like, here he is, semi-primed, fought him, then it was over. But to be fair, we're not done with him yet, so. But I preferred the Benedicta fight, I think, to the Titan fight. His attacks were really easy to dodge, too.
It's all too easy to lose one's bearings in the sands.
This is a very different looking area, by the way. I kind of like this. It's really big, too. Like, the Benedicta fight, there was a lot of, like, really cool attacks that you kind of had to learn. And granted, that was at the beginning of the game, so I wasn't as good at dodging. But the Titan attacks were very easily read, and then after I staggered him once, he added like 1 hit to some of his combos. But it was pretty easy to read. And then the fight was just kind of over. Like, he didn't really do a lot. The Benedicta fight, I got blasted a couple of times because her attacks were like, had really weird pauses that you had to learn. Be angry. Dude, that grab is like crazy long now. I love it.
Many years ago, when you were just a boy, you and I rode this way, accompanying your father on a scouting expedition to Drake's Fang. I'm not surprised you don't remember. It was just before Joshua was born. You were so eager to meet him when your brother arrived, but you whipped your chocobo too hard on the journey home and fell from the saddle. I shall never forget how Elwyn fussed over you as you sat in the sand, bawling like a babe.
I love that Uncle is doing Uncle things and telling us goofy stories. He is the epitome of Uncle. Yeah, he had a lot of human, like, Benedicta was a human fight, but she did a lot of not human moves, whereas Titan did a lot of just punches, like very obvious tells. I said Benedicta had a lot of weird pauses, like she would fly up and flap her wings and then hit you. So you had to learn it. Yeah, and that's what I was hoping to see, was more boss design similar to... I mean, I don't want to... When I say, like, I want boss design similar to Kingdom Hearts, I'm not saying, like, put an org fight in the game, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, that type of boss design where they really put a lot of thought into what the player is thinking as they're fighting and not just coming up with big, shiny moves that are easy to tell. But putting in mix-ups, putting in punish windows, that kind of thing that Square really likes to do with their human-style fights. And Benedicta was definitely a great example of that. Titan, not so much. Not that it was like a terrible fight or anything. So I did like the fight, I just think I preferred the Benedicta fight. Well, they already have hooded people, so they're one step away from Kingdom Hearts. Oops.
Stay down.
Stay down. Why did he say it like Batman?
Stay down.
I like this desert area. It's unique looking and different than the other areas and a big open area. What I don't like is the fact that I can't read the goddamn UI. I don't know if they just didn't think of that, but like the UI is really hard to read in the sand. I kind of wish they had actually changed the color of the UI just for this area or something. Maybe. I mean, it's not impossible to read, but I'm definitely having to squint a little bit. Where's the... I thought there was a colorblind setting. Guess not. Why are there dogs in the desert? Couldn't we have come up with some desert enemies? The scorpions make sense, but we already had scorpions. I guess they're like coyotes, but... There's chocobos, too. It's just literally the same Like, we went to a forest and we went to the desert, and the enemies are the same. Dogs, chocobos, and scorpions. Like, I think they could both work for either, but why are they in both? Give me a giant zoo. Give me some worms. Give me bombs. We already had enough bombs, but give me an iron giant. Give me a Alaskan bullworm. Give me some mummies. Give me a cactuar. A sand snake. I mean, I was worried about the enemy variety when we first got to the hideout and I looked at the bestiary and it was like 70% complete. And now I'm starting to see why. Because we saw 70% of the enemies already, because a lot of the enemies are just put in the next areas.
Who do you think those soldiers were in the inn?
Where's my earthworm? It's a wolf, but it's gray. Even like some bonies would be nice. I'd take a bony right now.
Ah, there she is. The good old
Better than killing a
Galileo Inn.
chocobo for the
Do you know,
500th
this
time.
heat has given me quite a thirst. Quick drink before we press on?
Oh, this is a cool looking area. Isn't this... is this the same place that we were... I think it is, right? This is the town we woke up in after the 5-year skip. Not, it looks like it. Not the same one. It was in the same... Or no. Maybe not. I was gonna say it was the same kingdom, but... No, it is the same kingdom, because we're going through it.
Those are ashen steeds. No doubt about it.
And such a long ride from Stonehair. Our Waluda friends must be soothing their saddle sores in the inn. Shall we join them? Run along and play now, Torgal. Dogs aren't allowed inside.
Ah, yes. Assassin's Creed time. Hooded characters in a desert town. This is literally Assassin's Creed. We'll be done. You just check her out.
Good day to you. Eating?
Sorry about my pal. He only talks when his mouth's full. What do you recommend?
Well, if you're after something light, we do a fine chocobo soup with lentils and honey.
2 bowls of that then. An ale.
Right you are.
Hey, girl!
Coming!
And ale.
Your pal?
Would you rather be my squire?
A cheese plate? Oh yeah.
Your Grace, it is plain you are not yet well enough to travel. If you would only let me take you to someone who can better attend to your ills.
No, we must press on. Prince Dion has returned to his camp and will soon depart for the front. I must speak with him at all costs. Miss this chance and I may never get another. You do understand that?
Yes, Your Grace. But you must at least agree to take your medicine. I'll fetch you some water.
Okay, Mom. It's like these sweeping shots just give me a movie vibe every time. I love it. It's so stylistic. But it you know, just adds to our conversation earlier about how games are etching closer and closer towards being movies with gameplay.
Tell us. But all I see is sand.
I hear they got our guest back to the Fang without any trouble. We'll be leaving soon enough.
Why the Lord Commander dragged us all this way just to save that blockhead skin, we'll never know. Dominant or not, he's a bloody idiot.
That'll be Cooker, then.
Wow, Uncle blows it.
Well, let's get this down us. We've a long way to go.
Hey, you.
I knew he was gonna, like, blow it somehow.
Sorry.
Can you walk, Your Grace?
What's wrong?
I fear trouble may be brewing downstairs.
Okay, bye.
You two are travelers, are you not? Me and my companions are strangers here. Perhaps you'd be good enough to accompany us a while. Help us find our way.
Sorry, lads, but we've got business in camera that can't wait.
Ah, I'm sure you could spare us an hour or two. Friend.
Look at the guy in the background. Oh, we're out of here.
I'm afraid we don't have a moment to lose. Friend. Stay back, Uncle.
Gladly.
The outlaw! Take you!
Try it.
Oh, that happened.
Bravo, my boy! Just like that!
Farewell.
Oh, I think I actually had to press square again there to finish it. I think you could just press it once. Yeah, it's. I was talking earlier about how serious the game starts off and everything, but it's good that it has these funny moments too, because just like back in the old days with Final Fantasy VII and stuff, the comic relief is best done in the midst of danger and, scary moments and dark, depressing times. That's when the comic relief really hits well. And this is like the perfect timing for it. It wouldn't have made sense to do it earlier in the game, but we've come to terms with the way the world is and we're trying to fix it, but we still have these moments of, grief. And so peppering in the comic relief is the best way to do it. I mean, it's just good storytelling using comic relief like that. This is like a perfect time for this character to be here. And, again, it kind of fits that movie aspect. But when I say that newer games are becoming more and more like movies, I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it comes across as like negative. But if games continue to become like cutscene simulators, then I think it's going to get bad. And I think some people are complaining with the amount of cutscenes in this game. I don't know if they're really complaining. I just saw like some posts about how many cutscenes are in this game. So far, I don't feel like it's a cutscene simulator. I only said that one time, like I felt like they didn't really need a cutscene to show the new enemies approaching. They could have just had them approach. Like, there's been a couple circumstances where I felt like it didn't really need to be a cutscene. But other than that, I don't feel like there's too many. But what I mean is like the camera work and the way that the stories are told. And we were talking while I was eating lunch about how the soundtracks in new games are and how they more of sit below the gameplay and just amplify what's going on screen instead of being kind of their own standout element. So instead of being, loud and proud and, you start off the level and it's of some banging tune that's super memorable and catchy. Instead, it's more of like music that sets the tone, sets the vibe, and then there might be a couple catchy notes here and there, and maybe like the boss music might be a catchier rhythm, but it's all kind of there just to add to the vibe and kind of sit just below the surface and just add elements to it. It's not necessarily supposed to be super memorable or catchy or, stuff like that. And I made the example of Forbidden West and how like the song and the music in Forbidden West is incredible, but it doesn't stand out in the same way as something like old Final Fantasies do, where you would know exactly what song it is if I played it for you. Instead, you just might say like, oh, I liked Forbidden West's soundtrack, but you might not know exactly what track you're talking about, And I feel the same way with this game. I think when I finish this game, I'm going to say that I liked the music, but I'm not necessarily going to know specific songs I liked. There's that one boss song that I like that has kind of a catchy rhythm to it. But other than that, there's not really stand out. Other than the fact that there's the music player, that music kind of stands out because I actually know the names of the songs. But yeah, it's just kind of an overall like feeling and vibe throughout the whole soundtrack instead of having specific songs that stand out. And that's a very big movie thing. When movie soundtracks are made, it's kind of all meant to flow together and not be stand out. It's not supposed to just detract from the action going on. It's supposed to add to it. So that's another kind of movie quality that games are starting to pick up on. And the way the voiceovers are done, the way that music, we actually talked at the beginning of the game about the sound mixing and how nowadays, more and more in AAA video games, every character seems to be whispering like in the movies. And I don't know what that is, but for some reason they're starting to pick that up as well. I hate that in movies when characters are super quiet when they're giving vital information, and then the big bombastic action scenes are super loud. And games are starting to pick that up as well. And I hope they don't continue to do that because I hate that crap. Well, I don't know why the mixing is so bad. Like, people talk so you can hear them, please. But yeah, it's just interesting. I wonder how far it's going to go. I wonder how far it's going to go to where games just start straight up feeling like movies with gameplay. And whether or not we're going to have to reel it back a bit at some point. Because games are going to get too cutscene heavy or too movie heavy, you know? I still remember when they started using celebrities in games, and that was like a big deal. Most of the time it was just voice actors, but there was they started using, what was the first one? The first big one, I think, was what's his name in Call of Duty, which is kind of a yikes now, but nowadays we have like Cyberpunk and stuff. Yeah, Kevin Spacey. It's kind of a yikes now, but that's the first one I remember. That's the big one I remember. And they had that trailer where they kind of showed him, and it was like, whoa, it's Kevin Spacey. Before that, there was some voice actors I remember. Obviously, you had the Spyro game with David Spade and what's his name, Elijah Wood as Spyro, and Sparks. That was something. But I think there were even before that there were some A-list celebrity voiceovers for games, but Kevin is the one I remember specifically as the first like celebrity in a game with like their likeness in the game. Oh yeah, there was I'm surprised I'm the one that didn't bring that up because I'm the Zombies fan, but several Zombies maps had celebrities as characters. There was the famous 5 map with the presidents. But also they had some other maps with celebrity guests. So, but that's different, I think. But it is kind of cool to compare that. But yeah, I kind of like, I'm mixed. I like that that games are becoming more like movies in certain aspects. I like how they're treating the characters like movie characters. I like that they're trying to do more interesting camera shots and big pan shots and just like cool like focus in and out and things that you wouldn't really think about in a video game because it's a video game. Everything can be in focus if you want. Like we don't actually have the limitations of a camera, but kind of pretending like it is a movie and taking into account what a camera would be doing in that instance and kind of recreating what a movie would do there. I think it's all cool, but then there's other aspects of it I don't like. Like, I don't want every video game to become cutscene simulator. I don't want, there to have to be filler dialogue when you can fill up dialogue with gameplay instead. And I think the thing for me that we talked about before is the difficulty as well. I don't want every game to be, well, we spent all this time creating this game. We want to make sure that everyone can get to the end, so let's make everything easy. Because I think that's what makes video games special, is the challenge. I think what makes video games special is the fact that you have to play it and you can actually go up against something that's difficult and feel like you persevered through it, and your reward is to see what happens. I think that's what makes video games a different type of medium than something like a movie. You get to actually experience the struggle. And I think that's important. And I don't think every game has to be hard, but I think that every game has to at least challenge you in some kind of way. That's what makes video games special. Whether it be a puzzle, whether it be hitting a button at the right time, or whether it just be strategizing well. It's got to be something that challenges you, because otherwise, why is it a video game? What's the point? Might as well be a movie. So that's kind of my personal take on it. But I do like these movie elements. I do. I think they fit well. People saying that this is like Netflix as a video game, I think that's a more of a compliment than a bad thing. I just hope they don't go too far with it, you know?
Word of advice, miss. That soup could do with a touch more salt.
I mean,
Now's our chance.
I feel like you could just stay there till they left. They ain't coming up here.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I do think a lot of it is trying to connect the casual audience. They see an actor they know and they're like, oh, it makes the game feel more approachable, you know?
Clive?
Okay, never mind. I guess they are coming up there. Okay, wait. How do you know that door? You're losing me here. How would he know that door? You can't tell me that the feather, he could like feel it. Yeah, but he can't sense him in this room. He left. That's like the power of anime right there. If he was still in the room, it'd be like, okay, I get it. But they jumped out that window and ran that way. So if anything, he should have checked the first room. That would be the one that's closest to where they are now. Doesn't make any sense. Maybe he left some of his essence, his feathers in here or something. Oh, it was the food. You could tell. Those are his carrots. Joshua loved carrots.
It's nothing. Let's go.
He could smell the carrots. They should have done a thing where, like, he opened the door right as they were jumping out the window. That would have made sense. But he was long gone, like, that makes sense. There's so many, like, little plot holes that, although don't ruin the game, they definitely hurt the writing. Because the writing has been so good up to this point, but these little things here and there, it's like they just didn't care enough to make everything fit perfectly. Nothing quite as bad as that Titan scene, but...
Well, we didn't know where to find Kupka before. We do now.
The royalists said it
This area is so pretty.
Their guest is in the Fang. We should press on before any more of their friends turn up.
Yeah, I guess plot hole isn't the right phrase, but it's a convenience. It's easier for them to just do it that way than to make it make sense.
Ah, they've closed the road. And it's the only way from here to the Fang. It would seem Lord Kupka is not accepting visitors at present.
We have to get through that gate.
Not by force, I trust. We've attracted quite enough unwanted attention already.
By guile, then. Perhaps the Desert Hare can offer us her aid.
Rosina Dalamil, woman of mystery. But how will we find her? We know naught of her but her name.
And that she was working with...
Guess I'll need another badge.
Six other collaborators have all been people of means. The wealthiest and most successful members of their communities. I'll wager this Rosina Dalamil is the same.
That would certainly help to narrow the search. We need only inquire as to who is in charge of the town.
And that's exactly what I mean to do.
Need some more pokey badges. My uncle is too high of a level, he won't listen to me anymore. Doggo has been pet.
Looks like we won't be getting back to Drake's family.
Oh wait, a shop. I'm sure there's something super useful there. Give me a moment. No, but I'm sure I already know what it is. Yeah, I could come up with a couple memes. Some of the stuff for this game already. Where's the shop at? How did I miss it that bad? Oh, he's right in front of the guards. Gee.
Anything I can interest you in?
Wow. Epic weapon.
Fare you well.
I like this song. Hey, Durak, thank you so much for the 25 months, by the way. Titan was a straight-up slugfest. Benedicta felt like a whole fight with all different phases of ranged, melee, and dodging. Yeah, I agree. Also, Foe, thank you for the 16 months. Thank you, man.
Anything I can help you with, travelers?
Allow me.
Oh, no.
My good man, we represent one of the oldest and greatest trading houses of Port Isolde. We're seeking to expand our business in the region and would very much like to make the acquaintance of Dalamil's leading entrepreneurs. If only we knew where to find them.
Well, we're best known for our baths, our markets, and our smithies. I suppose you could do worse than start your search at one of those.
Thank you. You've been most helpful. Oh, you wouldn't happen to know a lady by the name of Rosina Dalamil, would you?
No, I can't say I do.
Well, thank you all the same.
I call the bath. You go check the other ones. I'm gonna check the bath. I want a bath.
What do you want? Can't you see?
Oh god, I thought her eyes were like... I thought her eyes were rolled in the back of her head for a second. She just has like gray pupils.
I'm looking for someone. A woman
Scared the
by
crap
name
out of me.
Rosina Dalamil. Do you know her?
Never heard of her. Is that all?
One more question. If I wanted to find the richest trader in town, where would you recommend that I look?
Oh, that's easy. The Briar's Kiss. Won't find a finer smithy this side of the strait. The owner's only a young sprig, but he's got all the right ideas.
The Briar's Kiss, you say? Thank you.
I doubt this young sprig is the person we're looking for. You said Sid's contact was likely to be an influential sort. Influence comes with age and experience, believe you me.
I love the animation there. You would expect the NPC to just stand there and talk, but he's like stroking his beard right when he said age. It's impressive.
Looks like we won't be getting back to Drake's family anytime.
Can I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for a woman by the name of Rosina Dalamil. A long-standing pillar of your community, I believe, from old trading stock.
Then you should ask further. He's been here for years. Knows the place and its people like the back of his hand. And he's in with all the old merchant families. Try the baths. That's where
Yes, the baths.
Thank you kindly.
We didn't need to talk to him.
Well,
Discount Orlando
sounds
Bloom.
like we have our man.
Perhaps.
Just get me to the
Let's go and
bath.
find out exactly what this Furder knows.
Hanging lanterns, keep the darkness from your door.
Excuse me. Are you Furder?
I am. Can I help you, travelers?
I hope so. You've lived here for some time, is that correct? Do you know Rosina Dalamil? We believe she may be a trader of some renown.
And what business do you have with the Desert Hare?
She was a close friend of mine. I was hoping she might be able to help me.
Very well. Go to the Bordello. I'll arrange an introduction.
We're dead.
Do you think we can trust him?
Only as far as I think he trusts us.
Look at these goods.
Just like they eat off in Castle Dasbog.
This guy is quite the shop. Holy cow. All of it not stolen, I'm sure.
So you're the ones who've been sniffing around.
Yep, I knew it.
I beg your pardon?
Don't play the fool. Stick your nose in our business and you're likely to lose it.
So how'd that work out for you guys? Oh, hello. My turn. I'm doing that combo even though it doesn't do any damage, it's just fun to do. So anyways. Wanna help us now?
Who are you working for? Him or her?
Him. The boss. He wanted us to test you.
Though one could hardly call that a test.
Lord Ferda?
Look what the cat dragged in.
Your skill with a blade is rare and
Forgot to move his mouth for that
a
line.
fitting talent for an outlaw.
You know who I am. So what now? Call in the Men of the Rock and collect the bounty?
That isn't my decision to make. Our work is done. Take him to meet his precious Rosina. She will be interested to make his acquaintance.
Yes, my lord. To the Lock of Leisure, then.
To the what?
To the Lock of Leisure.
Plates and pots! Bowls and basins!
Alright, but I'm going there and stop once you go flat. What?
Silken softness, like eating a cloud with a crust.
Ah, I get it. Once you go flat, you never go back. Pita bread. The best bread since pita bread.
The most fragrant herbs and
My carpet!
Is this the place?
Lubor's Forge. The Briar's Kiss.
Ah, so it was the young sprig after all. So much for Rosina Dalamil being a woman of experience. How wrong I was.
It was an easy mistake to make, Uncle. After all, it must have been years since Sid last saw her. Sorry, him. Whoever this Lubor truly is, he's clearly a man of means. I'd say he deserves our respect.
See that he gets it.
Hey, how's it going, pasta?
Lubor, Lord Furder told me to bring them to you.
My boys tell me you're in need of assistance. Sid the Second.
I won't waste your time. I need passage through the south gate.
Tell me, what do you think is a merchant's most important commodity? Why, trust. Everyone knows that. Without it, you have nothing. And nothing is exactly what you have. And so, for you, I, too, have nothing. I'm not in the business of helping every lost puppy that wanders in off the street. I'm a busy man, as you can see.
Let's leave this mummer to his farce.
By all means. Find someone else to help you on your way. Just be sure to tell them you're not the two travelers from the inn the guards are looking for. Don't want them jumping to conclusions, do we?
Why, you...
So, what do we need to do to earn your trust?
I like this one. Willing to do whatever it takes to get what he wants. Ha! Men like you have a special place in my heart. Why, you ask? Because they get me what I want. Always.
Fine. So what do you want?
Don't tell me you're going to listen to this swaggering scruff.
We might as well hear him out. It's only natural that an ally of Sid's would seek assurances of strangers. Assuming he is an ally, of course. 5 years ago, he would have still been a boy.
And yet even then I had more good sense than a man, 5 times my age? But enough of the pleasantries. We were speaking of what I want. I want you to put an end to the trouble in Dalamil. Return to me when you have done so, and you shall have my aid. Until then, I bid you good day.
What trouble? If you're going to give us orders, be clear about them, damn you!
Manners, Greybeard. One catches more damselflies with honey than with vinegar.
What did you call me?
My apologies. A word of advice in recompense. Follow the crystals. Oh, but that was 3. Oh, I'm making this too easy for you.
Ha! It will be easy. Solving his little riddle should be like dealing with him. Child's play. Let us divide our forces, Clive. I'd rather not drag this parlor game on any longer than we need to.
All right. Good luck, Uncle. I thought we were the only ones causing trouble in Dalamil.
I was gonna say, like, there's something weird with the cutscenes. So there was that part. There was that part where, like, he walked over and he was making all these cool gestures and stuff, and I was like, man, this is such a cool character. Like, they put so much work into this character, and he's just kind of a throwaway villain for this part of the story. But he almost seems like he could be a main villain of the game, you know, like with how much work they put into his animations and the way he, like his voice and everything. He seems like a very cool, well thought out villain. And then 2 seconds later, after I was going to make that point, he kind of like stood still and like gave his dialogue. There's weird, like, there's a weird imbalance with the cutscenes where part of it will be like fully animated and stuff, and then part of it will just be kind of their character model standing there with their mouth moving. And it kind of catches you off guard sometimes. It's weird. Obviously, the fully animated cutscenes look great, but the NPC interactions, they swap between having really nice animation and being kind of stiff. And it's weird. But no, I like that guy. He's really cool. They have such a great way of like creating the villains in this game where they're like so sly and devious, but fit in with what you would expect them to act like.
Do you have a moment?
Depends what for.
Just a question. Dalamil seems to be thriving compared to the other villages I came through on the way. Is there a reason for that?
Well, we're a stone's throw from Drake's Fang, for one. The soldiers guarding the Mother Crystal and the shipments need a place to spend their hard-earned gil. The men of the Rock throw their money about like there's no tomorrow.
Is that so? Well, thank you. Don't let me keep you from your work any longer.
As in, standing there contemplating this chocobo. Very, very important work. The days of T-posing. He's eyeing his dinner.
Is it true there's been trouble with crystals of late?
You've heard, then?
I've heard rumors.
Damn thieves. Pilfering the crystals that were meant to fill our cups and light our stoves. Us common folk have hardly had a shard to share between us these last few moons. And it isn't as if we can buy them on the black market either. Whoever's taking them, they aren't sharing.
Wow, that was impressive. He got him to tell him all that just from pretending like he already knew.
A deposit? For what?
The juiciest meat from Green's Bed. You wouldn't believe how much he gave me. What can I do for you, soldier? Need that sword polishing?
I'm not a soldier.
Stay away from my sword.
Be off with you. I serve the men of the Rock and the men of the Rock only.
You have an agreement with them?
Don't be stupid. I just know which side my bread is buttered. Don't want to be stuck under some pauper when they come knocking, with pockets deeper than Zemeckis and an urge to empty them. No, just leave, will you? Before you scare them off.
Excuse me, man?
I'm starting to get an idea of what's been going on. I wonder if Uncle Byron's learned anything of use. He'll probably be back at the inn by now.
What was all that crashing and banging about before? Some out-of-towners picked up...
It's you, the one who broke all our furniture. What do you want? Haven't you caused enough trouble already?
I'm looking for my pal. Have you seen him?
The gentleman who was with you? Yes, he's upstairs, but...
Thank you. I'll go and fetch him.
But...
The inn's a mess of blood-soaked splinters, thanks to you. The least you can do is let us clean up in peace.
But... What?
Huh?
Will this suffice as a deposit?
By the sands. That's a black pearl.
One of the many treasures in my collection that I would be only too happy to part with, should you give me reason to do so.
All right. I'm sure that we can come to an agreement, but not here.
What are you doing, Uncle?
The way he said that, he sounded so like, what are you doing? Oh my god, why did I bring you?
Care to explain why you're giving gifts to Kupka's men?
Bait, my boy. One cannot catch one's prey without it. and I do believe I've snagged us quite the quarry. I started by asking around the markets as to where I might purchase crystals. I had no luck, of course. It's forbidden to trade in such things. But my uncharacteristic indiscretion just happened to attract the attention of those uniformed ruffians. They took me aside and said they could procure the crystal I sought if I proved I could pay for it.
So the pearl was your proof?
I thought they'd ask for more. A second-rate specimen like that would only fetch 500,000 or so. A small price to pay for admittance to the underworld. But enough about my little act of subterfuge. What did you discover?
That the supply of crystals has dried up of late. And some people seem to think they're being stolen. Meanwhile, members of Kupka's private guard have been spending money all over town. I'll wager those soldiers you've been talking to have been siphoning off crystals meant for elsewhere, and pocketing the profits.
I'll wager you're right.
We'll meet with them then, just as you arranged, and put an end to the trouble Lubor spoke of.
Ha! That preening popinjay thought this would be difficult. It just goes to show one should never underestimate a Rosfield. We'll soon wipe that smirk off his face.
That was cool.
I arranged to meet with the soldiers in a secluded corner of the Velcroy, far from prying eyes.
Did you want a pet?
The perfect place for a spot of double dealing.
I trust I can count on your support if things turn sour.
Of course.
Yeah, that was cool how each NPC kind of added up to the mystery. I think that was well done. Genuine cactuar needles. Excellent.
Fucking men of the wrong.
Ooh. Oh, I can go all the way out there.
Sweet incense, wax candle, just look at
Yeah, that's why they're not around. Hunted to extinction.
Light, meat, and dark. Fresh from the My carpets have pride of place in.
Off into the desert.
Yeah.
Beep-a-lee-ba-lee doo boop. Oh, Uncle got a chocobo too. In my black armor and leather. Does this chocobo have any air conditioning? We're gonna need it.
I'll take it from here.
I'd rather you not.
I was beginning to think you weren't coming, my lord. You've brought your contribution?
All the silver and stones I could scrape together at such short notice?
You brought the whole 500 talents.
That was the price we agreed upon, yes? If you've no objections, I'd like to see the crystal.
Of course. Right this way, my lord.
Not bad at all. You weren't lying about the clarity. But what of security? If I were to be stopped on the road, what guarantee have I that it wouldn't be seized as property of the Republic?
Because these crystals are no longer the property of the Republic. You're not buying from us. You're buying from them.
And we have no more jurisdiction here than you, my lord. But we have ships, and will gladly deliver to a port of your choosing, now that our price has been met.
Royalists, eh? What brings you here?
Why, to collect their share of Drake's Fang's blessing, of course. Our nations are allies, and so they are entitled to a portion of the Mother Crystal's bounty. And, being such good friends, we elected to increase that portion and share the benefits. And now that these crystals are officially property of the Kingdom of Waloed, we are duty-bound not to interfere, no matter where they might happen to end up next.
Did you get all that? They're in cahoots!
So it would seem.
They're in cahoots.
What is the meaning of this?
Double-crossing dogs. They're not here to do business. Kill them. Kill them both.
That was honestly pretty good, getting the goods out of them, though. Those two attacks together is pretty freaking good. I had a moment. Who is doing all that healing? Hey. What do you think you're doing? The healing is nuts. Like, you cannot kill things if they're being healed. The protect isn't as bad if you just spam abilities, but the heal, like, hey, you're not gonna kill him. Barrier also have much of a choice. Yeah, if everything's on cooldown, then you're kind of screwed.
You're finished.
Ah, you ruined my counter, Uncle. How could you? Oh, that was way slower than I thought it was going to be.
Well, that wasn't too bad. How'd you like my performance, huh? I've often played the villain on the stage. I think I did the role justice. Don't you?
Greybeard, you were magnificent. The battle scene was particularly thrilling. Such a shame you didn't have more of an audience, but perhaps that's for the best.
How long have you been watching?
Long enough to witness your uncle's sordid transaction. I hardly expected one so venerable to degrade himself so thoroughly, buying one's way into the confidence of degenerates. Ingenious.
This was the trouble you spoke of. The men of the Rock taking crystals meant for the common folk and conspiring with the Royalists. Well, now it's over.
Indeed it is. The people of Dalamil had scarcely any means of redress against Kupka's men, let alone a foreign army. Until you two came along, that is. we'd better get these crystals back to town. You won't mind waiting with them while I fetch a wagon.
Well, that'll get his trust.
It occurs to me that I still don't know your name.
Clive.
So, Sid the Second is a Clive. I suppose it could have been worse. Well, Clive, you held up your end of the bargain, so I must do the same. Passage through the South Gate, was it not?
He agrees with the guys that Clive is a bad
You felt
name.
a little there too. Many of the guards have already been redeployed to deal with the issue of their missing comrades. And those left behind have been encouraged to look the other way should you attempt to pass through.
Thank you. And please allow me to cover your costs. You still have the purse I gave to the soldiers, I trust? I saw you pluck it from one of the bodies.
Oh, dear. Was I really so obvious?
And my name is not Greybeard. It is Lord Byron Rosfield, thank you very much.
Nope. Thank you very much, Greybeard.
Of all the...
Here, wear this.
Yes. My new badge. Cahoots. He's in cahoots.
Any friend of mine who sees you with it shall be a friend of yours.
Thank you, Lubo.
And please, feel free to send one of my Stoluses back to your people. Tell them that Rosina Dalamil is back in bed with Sid.
I'm not gonna say that. That's not gonna happen.
Omia Lostelan. Tuisa Gelith.
Yes, the Owls are back. Best game.
I'm trusting you, Sid. Or should I say, Clive? So be sure not to let me down. I have a reputation to uphold. Well then, I wish you a safe journey south.
Thank you.
Not at all. It was my pleasure.
Come on, Uncle. Let's go.
So, was there a reason that you made it a puzzle? Because you could have just said, go get the crystals for me. We wouldn't have had to go around town figuring out what you meant. Alright, this is probably a great place to stop, because we have some side quests here, and then we get to move on to the main quest, so it's probably a good spot here. So let's save. And say goodbye to YouTube. So YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Let's play Final Fantasy XVI. Still very much enjoying. And we've had a lot of really great conversations about the game and about modern gaming in general. And I think that everyone's opinions on the matter has really helped me kind of create a nice generalization of how people are feeling. And I'm looking forward to finishing the game and putting together some kind of review of my feelings, but it's great to get kind of the general sense of what everyone else feels, because I'd like to implement that into what I have to say. I think it's important, and the general thoughts behind how this fits into the series, as well as just where Square Enix is going and where modern games are going, but also separating that and just kind of talking about it as a video game. And I think today we saw a lot more flaws, which is a bit of a shame, but at the same time, it's still doing the right things right. So, but we did see kind of some of the flaws with the story and the I guess that tends to happen as games get further and further in. It does continue to add to my thought process that not that the game was rushed, but that certain aspects of the game maybe weren't worked on as much as they would have liked. And I think this section of the game is maybe one of those parts where they probably worked really hard on the beginning and they probably worked really hard on the end, but the middle maybe got left in the dust a bit and they had to kind of just go with what they had. That's kind of my theory, because like I said, some of the writing just is not lining up as well as it was in the beginning. And that just kind of gives me the feeling of, yeah, they kind of had to just get through the middle so they could get to what they had created for the end. But not that I'm not enjoying it by any means. I'm still really I mean, Byron's an amazing character and all the villains are still super interesting. That scene with the Empress and Emperor was super interesting, and interested to see what happens with Kupka. Although the fight wasn't as good as Benedicta, I think that everything else surrounding it was good. With the exception of the scene before we fought him. But that whole mission was still good, and yeah, I'm still kind of riding the wave of like Jill and her character arc was like so cool. That was yesterday, not today, but I'm still thinking about it now. Like, that scene was so good. And the stuff with Joshua too, he's quickly becoming like my favorite character in the game. So I really want to see what goes with that, but cool that we got to see him again a bit. How could you call Jill a damsel? If you're calling her a damsel, you didn't play the game. She's literally the opposite. I was talking earlier about how great it is that she isn't one. Like, what in the world are they talking? They straight up didn't play the game. But maybe it gets worse later, I don't know. But I was literally talking about how every game likes to do this thing with the female characters and movie where the male character is like, you can't go, it's too dangerous, and then they prove themselves, and then, but this game didn't do that. It very much respects her as a character, and Clive has his arc with his past, and then she has her arc with her past, and it all works out perfectly, and she is an awesome character. Like, in every way, shape, and form, she's an awesome character. I think that maybe people calling her a damsel is just because of that one scene where she somehow gets captured. Because I agree. If she's following her character, she should not be captured in that way. She's super tough and awesome and should easily get out of that, or at least hear them coming, or like, you know what I mean? Like, her character is great, but that scene does not do her character justice. That scene makes her look like a damsel for no reason. I agree with that. So if they only watched that scene, then yeah, I agree. She looks like a damsel that can't do anything for herself in that one scene, which is why it makes that scene so poor. Because the rest of the game does such a great job of building her up as a great character, and then that scene does nothing with her and just makes her look like a damsel and awful. So I would agree that that scene is bad, but the rest of the game has done a great job building up her character and not making her just seem like the stereotypical female character that the male character is trying to defend the whole game, but instead actually giving their relationship time to build and connect in a way that a normal relationship would, where he respects her and her power and not just, I have to be the man and defend her. So instead they have a mutual protection of each other, which is really cool. And fits with when we first met her, and she was like, if you're not going to pray for yourself, I'll pray for you. And like, she was even protecting him back then too. So it all fits very nicely. It's only that one scene that kind of ruins. It doesn't ruin it for me, but if you only saw that scene, you would think she's a terrible character because that scene did not do her justice. Anyways, we'll see. Hopefully, from here on out, the game continues to do her character justice because it's been great up to this point. Just take that scene out. And yeah, we'll see you next time for more amazing Final Fantasy XVI. More episodes of the Let's Play. We'll see you there. Peace.